Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Silver Tears Tarot. Welcome to today's reading, which is essentially going to be a fairly simple question. What does your person want? And in particular, are they wanting to come back your direction? That's what we're going to ask today. It's going to be a single reading, so one for everybody. And so it's one for everybody in the collective. So it's not going to resonate with everybody, shouldn't resonate with everyone. But if it does resonate with you, you may want to subscribe or possibly take a look at some of the other videos that are also in here. All these are very much connected, so you'll see messages that could be useful for you. All right, so looking, our main question is going to be, what do they want? And in particular, does this person want to come back your direction? Let's first look at the energetic and emotional backdrop around the two of you. So there's been a lot going on. We've seen as the year has changed over, we've moved out of that full moon energy and into, we're full ready moving toward the new moon at this point. We've moved away from the Mercury retrograde energy, from the Mercury retrograde that, well, it's fading away, so it's the Mercury retrograde ended a couple of days ago, but we know that it takes a little bit of time for the energy to kind of fade away. So we're still feeling a little bit of the impacts and effects of that. But at this point, I feel like at this point in a Mercury retrograde, we're used to the experience. So I had a couple of them fall face up there. We'll go ahead and use those as well. And let's see. So we have 8 of Blades, 10 of Blades, Valet of Blades, which is definitely a reversed energy. So with the 8 of Blades, we've got a little bit of the reversed and a little bit of the upright energy. And so it's got this feeling of doing some overthinking, but being aware of it and being able to talk yourself back out of it. And I think this impacts both you and your person. So this is a shared energetic backdrop. You may be inclined toward the overthinking piece, which is going to be more of an individual sort of experience, but the fact that you will also be able to kind of see it and work through it is helpful. Has everything to do with, I'm going to go ahead and say inner child work, but it's that's a really broad term or broad area. Basically what it has to do with in this context is becoming the thing that you wanted so badly or that you needed so badly at some point earlier in your life, when you were either feeling some sort of pain, some sort of neglect, some sort of experience that was tearing you down. And this again is shared energy, so both of you are having this. But speaking from your perspective, there is something that you needed at a time in your life when you were being torn down that you need to become for yourself. So that's really what this card is all about. It's the 10 of Blades, but it's the same as that 10 of Swords that we often see, 10 of Wind. It's air energy. And it's a feeling of kind of being aware of where you are. There's a lot of awareness in this energy. And I'm really, I'm pleased to see that, because I can see that it's not just you, it's also your person. But there's a fear of moving forward still. Still a tendency to hide, almost a reflexive tendency to hide. You may be feeling that a little bit as well, because, I look at that and I think of your person's energy, because I think of your person's history, but I think that really may be showing up in both of your energies. So be looking for that for you as well. There's a need to juggle even when there's not a need to juggle, or it feels like there's a need to juggle even when there's not so much of a need to do it. So it feels like the pressure is on, even kind of when the pressure isn't on. This is something that you can this is something that you can impact yourself. So when you feel like you are feeling extra pressure, but there's not really any real reason for that, like it seems out of perspective or outsized amount of pressure for what you should be experiencing, take a moment, step back and think about it, because that is a place where you're able to kind of guide your thinking. That's what this 8 of Blades means in this context. Let's see. Three of Cups in the reverse. You are going to have energy on both sides of this equation that are kind of working against the two of you being available for one another. So it could be both of you get really busy at work around this time, or something happens at home that kind of gets your attention or requires more of your attention, more of your time. That's the sort of thing that seems like it's happening to both of you a little bit in this energy. So it's not really so much the two of you drifting apart, but the thing that we've seen where there's a need to prioritize the energy because there is a lot going on. Malika of Cups, which is like the Queen of Cups here in the reverse. This is a tendency to fall into old traps, old ruts of thought. Look for that in yourself, but also watch for it in your person. There's not very much that you'll be able to do with this. You telling them to change their ways is probably going to cause them to be more set in those ways rather than to have the desired effect. So keep it in mind, whatever it is that you're wanting to drive, like the behavior that you're wanting to drive, you got to think about whether the behavior that you're, whether what you're doing is going to drive that behavior or not. And here with the Malika of Cups, there's a tendency to maybe work against yourselves that way. With the Nine of Coins, though, this is that wonderful feeling of, like with the Eight of Blades, you know how I said it, there was this tendency to overthink, but there was also this ability to kind of see it and be aware of it. That Nine of Coins is that basis, that that foundation that's kind of allowing you to be the kind of energy for yourself that is what you needed at the time that you needed it earlier in your life. That is the trusted energy that says, look, you're overthinking this. It's time for you to maybe take a step back. And taking a step back is exactly what happens here. So you're taking a step back and you're looking at the big picture. Now, looking at the big picture does not immediately mean a strategy is going to pop out. Sometimes when you look at the big picture, there it just kind of gets more confusing. And that's kind of what happens here with the Seven of Cups. It's like here you've been given a problem to solve or an issue to resolve, and you've been given all of the pieces to do it, but looking at all of them does not necessarily mean that you know how to put them together. You may even have learned a bunch of lessons that you're like, well, now what do I do with those lessons? This is a moment of setback for both of you, but it's not a real setback. All it is a loss in momentum. If I really have to look at it, it feels like more of a loss of momentum than a setback itself, but it may be perceived as a setback to both of you because it feels like you're not moving as quickly as you have been. And you're not moving as quickly as you have been. This feels like slow, getting into the grind, and it reminds me of just kind of that work schedule that happens. And I get that not everyone's on the same work schedule, but you have during the holidays, things are a little touch and go. You have things that are open, things that are closed, people that are at work, people that aren't, and it's kind of very inconsistent. But as you start to ease into January, from January until about May, there aren't as many holidays. There aren't as many things that are changing from that society calendar standpoint. And for sure there are pieces in there, and I'm not saying things don't happen, just that everything kind of gets into this grind. And that's that feeling that we have here with this, with Sitara, the star card. The decisions begin, though. This is where the difficult decisions begin. And I feel like, again, this is shared energy. This is for both of you. There's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of heartbreak that the both of you get reminded of. And the anxiety is threatening to overtake you, but doesn't quite have the opportunity because of your ability to pull yourself back from the edge of overthinking. These are both honorable mentions, so I'm going to turn them back over. But that's where it comes. This is where the decisions begin. And remember, these are difficult decisions. We've got the Two of Swords. It's been coming up a lot. It's difficult decisions that are especially difficult to make because you have new things arising in your life that are kind of taking over your time, whether they are the thing that sets your soul on fire or some opportunity that could potentially turn into something like that. There's a lot that feels like it's going on, maybe even a lot going on at work. And with this Three of Cups in the reverse, feels like something has shifted with the third party energy impacting you and your person. And remember, third party energy isn't necessarily bad. It's just energy that isn't the two of you. It's something that impacts the two of you. So it's often a family member, a job. It could be a spouse or a significant other, long-term relationship, could be for both of you. It's just something is shifting in both of those cases that causes you to have to focus a little bit more on things that are happening within your lifestyle. And so you end up having to kind of make difficult decisions about how you're going to utilize your time, and you can't do everything. Something that we've been seeing pop up. So let's see what they want from this situation. We see that this, the energy that you're in, that energetic backdrop is very similar to what we've been seeing develop. But it's good to know there's also kind of that strength in the foundation there. And yet with the Valet of Blades, still that tendency to want to run and hide. It's almost like I was saying, a reflexive action. So let's see what it is that this person really does want. Okay, we've got more blades. This is the Seven of Blades. So there's a desire to feel trust, a desire to feel, it's more on that concept of the inner child work. And I don't love using terms like that because I feel like they are a little bit too broad, but it's the perfect term for the job. So basically the Seven of Blades is all about becoming that thing that with this Ten of Blades over here, talking about that ancient pain where you needed someone to support you in a certain way, but they weren't there or they didn't. This is you learning to become that for yourself, because what it happens is that's where that self-trust comes from. When you figure out that you've got your own back, that you're never alone, that you are actually, and it's very literal in some ways. The piece where you're never really alone and you're never really unprotected. Then, you add to it a lot of pieces that you're less able to see and detect and find and call out, but you can still work with and tell are there. It gets to be a warmer, more pleasant existence. And that's what this person ultimately wants. They want that warmer, more pleasant existence. So this is a special card that basically, when it comes out, it's about reevaluating everything. It's about looking at, it's the 79th card in the deck. It's all about saying you kind of need to, again, reevaluate everything, but it's starting from the beginning and looking at it. So if you've got old journals, maybe pulling some of those out, because that's the kind of energy that's going to help in this situation. And I can't give that advice to your person, but basically that's what they want to be able to do, is to be able to heal the whole self, to fix the whole self, to go all the way back to the beginning. And the other thing that comes out of this is wishing that you could go back to a clean slate, or a place where things were back to the way that they had once been. That's not necessarily something that can easily be accomplished. Again, we have this Two of Swords. We've got difficult decisions, and they would like to be able to make them in the context of emotion, without having to constantly feel like they're losing something important. There's a sense there of wanting to be able to have their cake and eat it too. But I feel like that's a way to say that they have a lot of desires that are a bit in conflict with one another. It's not necessarily that the desires are wrong. It's just that the way that their life is set up, these things are somewhat in conflict with one another. So we have the Two of Staffs. Two of Staffs is all about them getting to a place where they feel more comfortable with the decisions they have to make. So not just about the decisions, but just getting more comfortable with them, because at this point, one of the reasons that they need to be able to go all the way back to the beginning, one of the reasons that they need this healing is because they need to have a realignment of their values. Okay, so it's a realignment of their values, but it's something that is going to impact them on a very public level. So we've got the Shah of Cups, which is like the King of Cups, and it's a very ego-oriented card, because it has to do with how do I look emotionally from a public standpoint, and there's This is a very politics-oriented card, a very ego-driven card, but also one that it shows true integrity on top of charisma. And so it's kind of trying to balance those energies. And oftentimes, whether this is a balanced Shah of Cups or King of Cups has to do with how that integrity is being balanced with the charisma, how you're choosing to use your gifts. And so here you have a person who wants to be able to be open and free and to be able to trust themselves, to be able to trust you. They would say that they want to be able to trust you and to be able to trust others, but really what it comes down to is wanting to be able to trust themselves. And here with the Two of Staffs, the way that that happens is through that shift in values that we've been seeing come up in so many of these readings. So we've got the Daughter of Coins also, which is about learning, it's about integrating, it's about assimilating those truths that we often see coming in, assimilating those truths that they want to be fearless about these truths and they don't want to have to give up the mystery. So with the Four of Coins, it has to do with them wanting to be able to hold on to something, but what they want to be able to hold on to is the privacy, the mystery, the lack of I don't want to say lack of integrity because that's not it. They want to have integrity in the background, but they don't want to have to show their hand. So here's a person who doesn't want to have to explain themselves and basically would like to be able to have that freedom to not share or be vulnerable while at the same time having the lessons learned. They can't bridge something that they probably know on an intellectual level, which is they don't actually want to let go, but they want to have let go. Now they understand that it takes a certain type of strength and fearlessness to be able to do that. And on one hand, they have it. On the other hand, they feel like they've earned the ability they've cultivated this in themselves. They know they've done a lot of work, but they're not all the way there, and they want to be all the way there. They want the ledger to be cleaned. They don't want the decisions to be difficult. They want the trust to be, it's not so much them being resistant. So they're resistant to walk down the road of healing, but it's mostly that they want to already have done the healing and the learning. So what does that mean that they want with you? That's kind of, they want to know what to do. With the Shah of Swords, they want to be able to, remember how I was saying that sometimes putting all that information out there, like we see with the Seven of Cups, putting all that information out there does not necessarily allow you to just build a strategy. So the Shah of Swords builds a strategy, basically is able to see, oh, here's everything, here are all the building blocks. Well, voila, here's how I'd use them, and so that's kind of the way the Shah of Swords is perceived, and that's the side of the energy that it represents. And so this is what they wish they could do. They wish they could just wave a magic wand and everything would be resolved. They would be able to go back to the way things were. There wouldn't be a lot of baggage hanging out there, causing them to have to feel apologetic all the time. They want to be able to not have to watch their back. They want to be able to relax. There's a sense of wanting to be able to be safe, to feel safe. That seven of up here, the Seven of Blades that I've got covered up a little bit. That Seven of Blades is really significant because it comes out feeling kind of like this Ten of Blades. They want to be able to feel safe with themselves. They want to be able to feel like they've got their own back and that they're covered no matter what happens. The only way for that to truly be the case, the way that they see it, is for them to be able to deliver that to themselves. And to a certain degree, that's true, but they don't feel like they are capable of doing that all the time. And the truth is they don't need to be capable of doing that all the time, but they have not quite figured that out. They haven't quite picked that up yet. They want happiness. They want to be able to feel happiness, and they don't quite know how even to characterize that or to talk about it. What it doesn't really tell us is what they want with you. So like how they want that to play out with you. So that's what we're going to look at when we get into the extended. It does make sense what they want. It makes sense what the energy, the environmental energy that they're in. And this is that same environmental energy that the two of you share. But that decision, the difficulty making decisions because there's so much going on, that starts to really matter here. And really, they want things to be simpler. They want things to feel easier because they've already resolved some things. But let's look when we get into the extended about what it is that they want that to mean as far as things with you. For now, though, let's look at what that means for you as far as your focus, where your focus needs to be, all of the things that you're working through in your healing. What is the main important piece? So we've got the Wheel of Fortune. This is change, but it's basically the message that comes through with that one is allowing things to change. Really allowing for change, allowing for things to be what they're going to be. Sometimes it's you want to exert a bunch of pressure on there to make it something that you would idealize. We've got the Eight of Pentacles here, which talks about kind of a strength. It feels like a strength, but it's an ability to have emotional strength. It's emotional self-modulation, self-management, and a confidence that you're going to be able to do that. We also have the Queen of Blades, which speaks to being able to rely on that cool, logical side, even when you might be concerned that the emotional side wants to take over. This is all about being able to call on that logical side and say everything's going to be fine because you're going to be able to balance these. That's one of the changes that comes here. There's no longer a concern about getting out of control. You're less likely to perceive emotion as being out of control as you get through these lessons. Okay, we had some cards fall, but they fell face down. Let's see. Oh, this one does come out. So Son of Staffs. Okay, this is movement toward, this is confident movement towards something that otherwise you might be inclined to move more slowly towards because you're trying to make sure that you're divvying up your energy appropriately. This is allowing you to jump in with both feet on something and to assume that everything else in your life is still going to be there when you turn back around. You have this is more go for it energy. This is the Chariot, and this is a very trusting chariot because oftentimes this is a person driving a team of horses. The horses look like they're going in two different directions, and it's a matter of, you have to move, but you don't know which way exactly to go. This is all about trust. It's all about trusting in the balance. It's about trusting in the direction that you're going, and to do so without spending a bunch of energy looking down. This is a very trusting forward movement to go along with this other forward movement. And here we've got balance. The Adal card is all about balance, but it's kind of like that Justice card where places that seem like they're not in balance will learn to find some balance here. Some difficult decisions will have to be made. I feel that coming off the Queen of Swords there again. But with the Chariot card, I feel like the more you're able to release and trust and allow yourself to go with the experience, the better off you're going to be and the better the balance is going to be. So this is about really in the moment to moment, allowing yourself to flow and find that balance. Also allowing yourself to go on the quest to figure out what it is that makes you the happiest. So at this point, you probably have a lot of ideas about what might make you happy, but you don't exactly know where you're going to land in all this. You're encouraged to... you're going to find yourself in a nostalgic sort of place, and you're encouraged to use that. So once again, that recommendation to read your old journal entries. You've got the Eight of Cups here saying, go ahead and go on that quest to figure out what it is what's going to bring you that ninth cup, what's going to bring you the happiness or the wish fulfillment. What is it that you truly, truly want? And don't make it too simple. Don't make it just this person coming back. It's what do you want your entire life to be? What do you want to feel like when you wake up in the morning and feel like when you go to bed at night? What do you want the in-between to be like? And how do you want you to be, remembered? How do you want to remember your days? So we've got the Shah of Coins, which is all about how you perceive yourself and all about what you believe that you are worthy of. So that's something that has been developing here along the way as well. And it's something that deserves a little bit more of your attention, maybe, than it has been given. With the Six of Cups here, though, like I said, there's going to be this sense of nostalgia, this sense of something that wants to kind of come back to you. We also see the Eight of Cups, and it's in the upright, like it's like something is moving away or something is walking away, or maybe you're walking away. That's really going on the quest. There is something here that is an opportunity that comes back around again. So we know that with you, some of the opportunities have been cycling, and so you see them come back around. This is one that comes back around, but I feel like it's been a long time since this opportunity has come to you. I'd be curious to see a little bit more about this when we get into the extended. What is the opportunity that is coming to you, and what exactly does your person want with you? Not sure if those two are going to coincide or exactly what's going to happen there, but that's what we'll look at when we get into the extended for this reading. So thank you so much for being here with me for this. If you want to go to the extended, the link is down below in the description for the reading. I would look forward to seeing you there. Otherwise, I will look forward to seeing you in tomorrow's reading.